Okay, Corey, we want to take some time here, and for our viewers' benefit, I want to interview you a little bit,
Great.
and to see what makes you tick, and give the viewers some insight into you and Bondurant. How old were you, Corey, when you first started racing?
I started racing at the age of 6 years old. Yeah, started at a young age. I was kind of born into it. My father raced over in California, and he's done everything from AMA flat track to off-road racing. He was pretty big for his time, and so when I came around, this was the direction he wanted to kind of put me in, and been very fortunate.
Do you see several advantages in students if they start racing early?
Yeah, and I think this is relative to a lot of sports. You know, if you get them in young enough where they can understand but develop the right skills early, the more they drive and the more they compete and the older they get, the smarter they're going to get. But also the knowledge and performing these tasks correctly is just going to keep getting better, better, and better. You know, starting late, you already are at a disadvantage if going against somebody that's been doing it already 10 years prior before even thinking about getting in. But I think that goes with any sport, really.
I think you mentioned also when we were on the track yesterday that you've noticed the trend that students who start racing really young tend to be safer drivers out on the street.
Absolutely, and it builds a level of confidence. You know, if you started driving at a younger age, if it's, you know, in a go-kart or even, you know, let's say a golf cart for an example, if you just know how to manage the instruments in the car, the steering wheel, the gas, the brake, you know, the clutch, when you are put in a situation where you have to use those instruments in a panic or non-panic situation, but when that light bulb turns on, it's the correct information you apply.
So it could be induced by another driver.
Absolutely.
But the reaction is going to be calm, cool, collected.
Correct.
With the absence of panic. And also I'm guessing they probably have better spatial awareness.
Yeah.
And the whole idea about collision avoidance and see and avoid, they're probably up and up on that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just one of those things, over time you're going to progressively get better. And starting at 5, 6 years old, driving up to 16, 20, 30 years old, it's that skill that you're developing at a young age is only going to get better.
So you started racing when you were 6 years old. How old were you when you started to work for Bondurant?
I started working at Bondurant at the age of 17. I was actually, I was the current youngest instructor at the school and in the driving school portion. And yeah, it was pretty cool to come in here, and, you know, I'm working with a bunch of these veteran race car drivers that've been doing it for years and years, and, you know, they competed in everything from like Rolex, Grand Am, you know, a lot of guys competed in the IndyCar series. So coming in as like a newcomer and working with all these guys only helped you get better.
You don't feel that being so young in an environment where you've got celebrities and other pro race car drivers and military and law enforcement, you didn't feel any disadvantages in being young?
No, you know, it's kind of funny actually, you know, when you get a group of, you know, special force guys or, you know, people from the police academy, they come in, they probably expect or anticipate they're going to get an older instructor.
Some guy with gray hair.
Yeah, that's what they anticipate, they really do. And so when they come in and they see this 17, 18-year-old kid, they're like kind of scratching their head saying, okay, what is this? Well, the thing about it is I'm pretty comfortable and confident in my ability. So when they see me get behind the wheel, they're like, okay, now we'll pay close attention.
Once they hear you talk and once they see you drive, you immediately get their respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's certainly as well for us, not knowing what to expect. And when we met you, we were also thinking, you know, somebody who might be a more senior person. But boy, as soon as you started talking and driving, we had no doubts at all. When students come in, a new group of students, what are the most common errors you spot in these beginners? The
biggest error that we run into is the lack of using their vision correctly. You know, people tend to stare at the objects they initially want to avoid, or they tend to stare at a distraction if it's a car accident or somebody parked on the side of the road.
Object fixation.
Absolutely, and that's where a lot of people tend to get in trouble, because when they notice that distraction, they end up staring at it, and by staring, they're actually going to tell their vehicle to go to that point. So being able to correctly use your vision is really foreign to a lot of people. You know, and the people that I run into, they don't really think there's a right and wrong way to use it. You know, they only think there's that one way. But when you can break it down, where learning how to properly use your primary vision and properly use your peripheral vision, it opens up a whole different spectrum. You know, it just gives you more time mentally if you can see the situation much sooner.
Yeah, that sounds That was my case as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when the students come for, let's say, your most popular class, which is your 4-day Grand Prix course, what can they realistically expect to accomplish in the course of 4 days?
First of all, they're going to have an amazing time. You know, coming out here and driving a brand new Corvette Grand Sport on the racetrack with professional drivers and other students that are they're in their same situation where they're planning on going out
camaraderie.
there. Yeah, it's so without a doubt they're going to have an amazing time. But their skill set driving wise leaving here is going to be 10 times what it was when they entered. The information that we preach to these guys and the methods that Bob has came up with over the 40+ years that he's been around,
he's perfected those.
It's a fine-tooth comb. It's hits every nail on the head when it comes to properly driving a car. If it's out on the racetrack or if it's, you know, a teenage defensive class, he has this thing so tailored that he has the utmost confidence. Whatever student comes in here, they're going to leave with a lot more than what they entered. Absolutely.
Well, that certainly was proven in my case.
Very cool. That's great.
So Corey, that pretty much answers my next question. You just finished telling me that Bob Bondurant has perfected his teaching methods, the curriculum. He's perfected the way the instructors teach here over 40+ years. There's no rock left unturned. Everything's examined from every possible angle. Mm-hmm. My question was, what does make Bondurant the best high-performance driving school in the world? Apart from that, can you think of some other things?
I think the trials and error that Bob has put into this place, you know, for 40 years, he knows what works, he knows what doesn't work. He's competed in the pinnacle of motorsports. He's ran, you know, Formula One. He's ran multiple series where he's learned himself with other great drivers, and he was able to take all that information he picked up from when he ran motorsports and was able to maintain it and say, you know what, I want to start this school. And he was able to roll that into his curriculum. Now, I think all of the instructors here have been race proven. You know, these guys are still currently out competing professionally, and you know, Bob's still out there working with them on a regular basis, trying to improve their skills. Or if he sees something he wants to change, he'll get in there and make sure that change happens to be able to relay that information, either if it's more efficient or elaborate on things more. But he's not afraid to go in there and make changes that he thinks will benefit the students more. You know, it's kind of hard to find another high-performance driving school that's been around as long as Bob has.
And he's hands-on. He's here every day.
Yep.
He's interacting with the instructors, having meetings with the instructors, interacting with the students. And, I mean, he's right there. Even at 79 years old, he's got his finger right on the pulse of the industry. So, on a lighter note, who have been some of the more memorable students you've had over your 11-year career?
We get everything from the special forces to police cadets to you know, famous rock stars to actors to we get every single forms of walk of life. And I think every student comes here, they impact you in some way, shape, or form. So each student kind of just gives you a different feel, different vibe, and each student has their own little thing. You'll remember each and every single student that kind of walks through the door. But the most unique ones are, I say, the special force, the military guys. You know, they come out here for one reason, and to be able to give them that information, either make them safe or to protect and serve for this country. It's
like you're fulfilling your patriotic duty.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Everyone's got a part to play.
Yep.
You know, for America's national defense.
Absolutely, and but like everybody that comes through here, you know, gives you some sort of impact. You know, you get, you know, successful businessmen to the person who saved up just because it's been on his bucket list, and each one of those students will impact you in some way, shape, or form.
And you said, obviously, the students who have the most enthusiasm for what they're doing, who really enjoy every moment they're here, you know, tend to benefit the most from the instruction.
Absolutely.
Driving race cars is cool.
Oh yeah.
And drifting race cars is maybe cooler. So we've learned some skills here at the school, as will other students, as will other graduates. Are going to leave here with a whole toolbox of driving skills. What's the best way for them now to convey that cool factor to their friends at home who never had the opportunity to experience the richness that you guys offer here at Bondurant? I mean, should they go, you know, start doing donuts in their neighbor's parking lot?
No, we really promote using local associations, local driving associations, and there's multiple organizations like SCCA or the National Auto Sports or the Pro Auto Sports, which do hold events. And you know, a lot of people say, well, there's not a particular racetrack in my area. Well, they'll do these things called autocross, where they will literally set up a cone course in a parking lot, and you can do time trials and things like that. So there's definitely safe places for people to go out there and experience their car in a controlled environment.
And the key word there is controlled environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, where the surface is all controlled. You've got EMT people on standby. The course is prescribed. All the playing field's level for everybody. It's fair. Yeah, the controlled environment. That's where they can really push themselves a little bit and still maintain that level of safety.
Yep, and it, you know, just eliminates the risk of any potential incident. You know, you have the track staff there. You'll have the EMTs, and you'll also have, you know, some veteran drivers that may have ran with the organization for a long time that may even come in and help you out a little bit. So there's multiple reasons why we really promote using local organizations.
So the mountain road with a cliff on one side, not the place to impress your girlfriend with your new driving skills.
No, not a good place at all.
Yeah, yeah. What kind of vision do you see for both the future of Bondurant and your own personal future?
Well, I think if you just keep following the Bondurant trend, you know, this place keeps getting bigger and bigger each year it's in existence. And, you know, Bob even says he planned on keeping the school when he first started it 4 or 5 years. That's what he thought the life expectancy was going to be of this place.
Oh, when he first started?
When he first started.
40 some odd years ago.
Yeah, 40 years ago. And, you know, what happens is he just keeps developing it, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I just see that progression keep going for another 100+ years. I just have a feeling this thing is going to keep spreading to where it's just going to have multiple locations, and I just don't see it stopping anytime soon.
And do you think one day when everyone's flying personal helicopters to get back and forth to work, you get into the helicopter flying business too?
Yeah.
When people stop driving cars.
Well, Bob's been flying helicopters for quite a while. He's actually had a couple here on the facility, and a story about that is, you know, Bob actually used to chase the students around on the track in his personal helicopter, and that's why you see over next to the marketing building he has his heli landing pad, because that's another passion of his. So I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
How about that? I was just kind of saying that in jest, but there's that connection there. Is Bob flies helicopters as well.
Yep.
And how about a vision for your own personal future?
I'm going to stay in motorsports as long as I possibly can. You know, I just see myself constantly growing and getting better and better, and just there's no bad day. Just keep taking that skill that you have, work harder, and just make it to that next round and win. Well,
I love that. There's no bad day. On that note, Corey, we've had a blast. I can't thank you enough for your hospitality, your graciousness, your expert instruction, your camaraderie, and above all, keeping us all safe on the track. That's Murray Carter with Carter Cutlery's High Performance Tips.